Thank you. Our next session is titled Blended Learning Pilot Courses, Results and Insights from UDST's Initiative. Now I know what you're thinking, not blended learning again, but bear with us. On our last professional development day, we discussed the concept of blended learning, and today we're excited to share the results and insights from our Blended Learning Pilot Initiative at UDST. This session will provide an in-depth look at the experiences and outcomes from this exciting venture. Our panelists today have hands-on experience with our blended learning courses and will share valuable insights from their involvement in the pilot courses. Joining us today, we have the following esteemed panelists. Dr. Abdullatif Shikfa, Associate Professor and Head of Cybersecurity at UDST. Dr. Shikfa is an expert in applied cryptography, information security, and cybersecurity, and his leadership has been instrumental in shaping the direction of our technological and academic programs. Ms. Youmna Moussa, mathematics lecturer at UDST with 18 years of experience. Ms. Youmna brings her dual expertise in mathematics and artificial intelligence to her role, where she has been a key contributor to advancing innovative learning approaches. Ms. Sweta Bharadwaj, lecturer of communications at UDST, holding a master's in education and a master's in communication. Ms. Sweta is passionate about transforming education, focusing on curriculum development and the integration of AI to enhance student learning experiences. Ms. Kalpana Prasad, digital media specialist at UDST. Ms. Kalpana is an innovator in creating immersive and engaging learning experiences. Specializing in AR, VR, and interactive media, she collaborates with faculty to integrate cutting-edge technologies into the curriculum, transforming how students engage with their education. Mr. Khalil Zakout, a 21-year-old software engineering student from Gaza, Palestine. Khalil is a transfer student from the University of Palestine and has been in Doha for just 4 months, continuing his education with the support of education above all. Despite the challenges of relocation, Khalil's enthusiasm for learning has made him a standout student in the program. Mr. Mohammed Al-Marwani, a software engineering student driven by innovation and a passion for problem solving. Mohammed has already made a name for himself as a Microsoft Hackathon winner and an entrepreneur with a focus on creating impactful solutions in the tech world. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce Mr. Alain, our moderator for today's session. Alain is a senior instructional design professional at UDST with extensive experience in designing and delivering impactful learning solutions across various sectors, including aerospace, defense, healthcare, and higher education. His expertise in instructional design and educational technology will guide us through today's session. Please join me in welcoming our panelists. As always, we encourage you to submit your questions for the panel using the QR code. We have all dedicated time for Q&A at the end of the session. Mr. Alain and panelists, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Randa. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome back from the first break. It is my pleasure to be the moderator for this second panel today entitled Blended Learning Pilot Courses at UDST. Before we dive into this panel discussion, let me just set the scene of what's been accomplished in blended learning at UDST. So for the past year, AEL, in collaboration with the colleges and with the support of the UDST leadership, has been introducing blended learning as an instructional approach to help students achieve the learning outcomes in several courses. Initially, we piloted Coursera, a massive open online course MOOC learning platform, where we started to introduce complementary and supplementary online learning experiences of curated content from the Coursera platform in several pilot courses throughout the colleges. Next, we expanded into actually developing blended learning in-house online learning experiences based on actual UDST course content and course learning outcomes. And the idea was to create dynamic, interactive, and engaging learning experiences for the students through a blended learning approach. So we did this for 2 courses, which I will introduce to you right now. So the first course is everyone's favorite math topic, Discrete. What's up? Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. Is Discrete Structures, DAX 2101, a very abstract, conceptual, mathematics-based course, the dread of every single programmer out there. So in this course, we had 98 students. Every student that were enrolled in the winter term this term participated in this pilot course. And they would have to complete 1 hour of the weekly lecture classes was designated to completed asynchronous, self-directed online learning, which was all built using the Coursera learning platform based on the actual UDST course materials. Now, this included micro-learning videos, quizzes, and lots of interactive opportunities to help them study and support what's being done in the lectures. The second course is EFFL 1003, Experiential Learning and Entrepreneurship, a very important course that sort of teaches, how to transition from a high school to the university life, to start working with groups and becoming an experiential learner, offered by the College of General Education. Now, in this course, we had 41 students who volunteered to participate in this pilot project. And the only difference, although it did have, the students did complete 1 hour of self-directed online learning and 2 hours of class time, lecture time a week. This one, they accessed their online learning materials through the D2L learning management system. Now, I'm pleased to report that the results from these 2 pilot courses have been fruitful. In both courses, we have found there is actually a positive correlation between the amount of time a student spends learning online and how they actually perform on their course assessments. In simpler terms, those students who spend more time learning online, going through the online learning materials that we developed with the colleges, they scored much higher on the course assessments. So it was a success. But to truly see the impact of blended learning and to hear someone else than myself preaching about the many benefits of blended learning, I want to turn it over to our panelists. Now, this is a very large panel because we wanted to sort of gather all the stakeholders involved for both of these courses. We have UDST faculty who designed and developed the course, and we also have students who actually took the course to hear their experiences about it, as well as members from the AEL team to explain the design process. Without further ado, let's begin. Okay, first we'll start with the faculty teaching the courses. So first starting with Ms. Youmna Moussa, who was the instructor this winter term for Discrete Structures. Could you please tell us, what was your experience teaching in a blended learning environment this winter term?
Teaching in a blended format was a valuable experience this term. I piloted hybrid learning for the Discrete Structures course with the CCIT, with one of the 3 lectures being self-directed online learning. Teaching in, or the blend of self-paced and face-to-face instruction showed good potential. Students responded well to most of the modules, finding the content clear and manageable. They liked having all the material in one place, including readings, knowledge check questions, end of module quizzes, and a summary at the end of each module. The content included or covered all topics, including those taught during the in-person lectures. They appreciated that the examples used on Coursera are different from the ones I used in my slides, giving them a variety of examples to practice. I usually recommend readings from textbooks, but students often skip them. On Coursera, they found the content focused on well-structured, making it easier for them to review for assessments and stay on track. Also, the online component gave me more space during my in-person lectures to focus more on deeper discussions and problem solving during the in-person lectures, rather than spending time on introducing new definitions. For the independent learners, the self-directed online component allows students to study at their own pace. It also encourages others to become more responsible for their learning, building confidence and self-reliance.
Thank you, Ms. Youmna. Now, over to our other instructor, Ms. Sweta Bharadwaj. Same question.
Thanks, Alain. Good afternoon, everybody. A lot of what I have to say is aligned with what Youmna said. But for EFFL 1003, this is a skill-based course. It's a first-level orientation course, so it is a lot to do with student activities as well. So what I found really beneficial about teaching an online hybrid course was a lot of the actual theory could be put online, and students had the flexibility to go through this material at their own pace. And then I could use the 2 hours that I had in class for absolute hands-on activities. So I thought that was really beneficial. I saw that towards the end, or rather towards the middle of the semester, students got a lot more independent, just like Youmna said, they took responsibility for the work that they did. And I also like the fact that with the platform that we created along with AEL, we were able to put together materials that could access all different types of learners. So we were able to have videos, podcasts, put together case studies, lots of different types of ways in which we could engage the students. So overall, fantastic experience, of course. There are a few things that I hope to do differently the next time around, but the first round was really fun and very, very fulfilling.
Thank you both. And that's a good point, that with blended learning, when you build online learning materials, you don't just build it once and khalas, that's it. You have to continuously improve it and review it. Now, although we talked about the positives and the great experiences, there's always challenges that you face. So, Ms. Youmna, could you sort of explain some of the challenges you face delivering a blended learning course?
First, getting students to take the online component seriously was not easy. Many registered late. I had to send multiple announcements on D2L, email reminders to encourage them to enroll in the course. Many underestimated the importance of the online component. They didn't take it seriously until they recognized that assessments will be graded. Also, the content on Coursera provided a solid foundation, especially for introducing new topics. But the content mostly covered lecture content, since the goal from the beginning was to assign lectures only for online self-study. While our course structure includes labs as well. So to enrich the material so that students find the content aligning with the depth and practical application of the problems that we solved during labs, I had to update and expand the material during the term to make sure that students have enough practice material so they are prepared for their assessments. Another key challenge was assigning managing assessments deadlines on Coursera, where we could not assign individual deadlines for the end of module quizzes. They were all due to the end of the term, making it easier for students to postpone tasks. Fortunately, starting fall 2025, all the Coursera material will be integrated into D2L, making it easier for us to customize deadlines. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Youmna. Some very good points and challenges that we've experienced through the AL, and we're already starting to find solutions to overcome them. Ms. Sweta, same question. What challenges did you face?
Thanks, Alain. I think I was very ambitious when I went into EFFL 1003, hoping that this model would work immediately. So over the first 2 weeks, I assigned the modules to the students, and I expected them to come into the classrooms knowing everything, because it's such a fantastic platform. It's very interactive, and as you can imagine, not all students took that initiative. So it was something that I had to change very quickly. So in the first few weeks, after understanding that this was the case, I decided to introduce the module and use the tried and tested method of linking it to an assessment. You can see the smiles. We all do that with our courses. It's just easier to show the motivation. You're learning something because we're working towards something. So the first half of the semester, I introduced the topic and then said, please follow up, go through the material. But when we got to the middle of the semester, because they got used to the idea of getting that work done, it was easy to then flip the classroom and say, okay, please complete the work before you come in. And the wonderful thing about hybrid learning again is that because information is bite-sized, we've worked on micro-learning as well, with AEL, students have the opportunity to take their time with concepts. So they were able to go through it, and you could see that they were spending more time on important concepts and then utilizing that in class. But this was a learning process, and I probably would do it differently next time around.
Thank you, Ms. Sweta. All right, moving on to our wonderful students, getting their feedback and experience. So starting with Mr. Mohammed Al-Marwani, what was your experience learning in a blended learning environment this winter term?
My experience in blended learning is new to me since I've never attended a course that was blended. And I have some key points that I liked about it. Having access to video explanations, since I'm a visual learner and I like someone explaining the content to me, and I can't understand very well through reading. The videos were very short and concise, and I really liked them a lot since it helped me for a quick review for my quizzes and tests. And since Discrete is a heavy mathematics course, I liked that it was blended since I could study at my own pace and I could have more free time and do more quick reviews also.
Shukran, Mohammed. Over to you, Mr. Khalil, Zakout. What was your experience learning in the blended environment for EFFL?
So first I will start by saying that as a transfer student, I have never taken any hybrid courses before. So when Ms. Sweta introduced the course for us, I was a little bit reluctant to take this course. But then I said to myself, like, Khalil, give it a shot, just try it. And I can tell it was a good decision because it's opened my eyes on a new perspective and approach in learning and teaching. And also it gave me so much flexibility in managing my time and managing my university schedule. So overall my experience was really great.
Thank you to both of you. Now, what were some of the challenges you faced?
My challenges were, since it was a new experience, I was kind of hesitant at the start, like Khalil said, but the main concern for me was how would I ask my instructor? It's a heavy course. I mean, I need my answer to questions immediately. So that was one of my main concerns. The second concern was that the material only covered lectures at the beginning, and the labs were also very complicated. I needed to ask questions about that. But Ms. Youmna uploaded more extra practice questions to help me with my course.
Shukran, Mohammed. Over to you, Mr. Khalil. What were some of the challenges you faced?
To be honest, everything from the instructor side was great. The one challenge that I face is that sometimes I procrastinate. I'm not a procrastinator, but I mean, again, this comes before because I have never taken any courses before, so I'm not used to this type of courses. So I believe with more and more hybrid courses to other subjects, I'll get used to that, and other students will get used to that. So I believe this is the one challenge that I face in this course.
Thank you to both of you. And I think we can sort of see in the benefits and the challenges that we face that the online learning portion of a blended learning course is not there to replace the lecture. It's not there to replace what you do in your class time. It's blended. It's finding the marriage and the balance of the two. And then when you introduce the lab component in a course such as Discrete Structures is a very key component. And from the onset, with Discrete Structures, we never set out to replace that. But it's finding the right balance and offering that flexibility to the students. All right, moving on now from the delivering and going towards how to design this. And for this, I'm going to turn over to my good friend, Dr. Abdullatif Shikfa, with whom we started this project over a year ago. So although you weren't involved in the delivery this winter term, you were heavily involved in the design and development of the course. So could you please explain your reflections, basically acting as a subject matter expert of this course and the content, in terms of what was the dynamic collaboration working with the Applied and Experiential Learning Department when it comes to designing a blended learning course?
Thank you, Alain. Yeah, dynamic collaboration, as you said, that's the right word. Initially, the project was about creating a MOOC, an online course for a broad audience, and that was quite challenging. We spent hours and hours to just design the first video for this MOOC. And then we brainstormed and we aligned then our objectives to think how we can support best our students. And it's not the full online course, rather the blended approach. And this made things much easier in the design phase with the support of the AL team. We just came up with an innovative solution where the AL team would come and record my lectures, and then I would provide the structure, the logical structure for the course, how to divide it into chapters, sub-chapters, and so on. And the team would then translate my delivery into modules, online modules for the blended learning, including short videos, including also exercises, knowledge checks, quizzes, and so on, all this online. And that was done using AI tools, so it used much less of my time for this. And I would like to thank Angelo and Hassan for their tremendous work.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, Hassan and Angelo, who we worked tirelessly on this course. And just one follow-up question, Dr. Shikfa. Did the final product meet your original expectation?
Again, the final product was different from the initial product, right? So that's the first thing. And then, as faculty researchers, we never get to a final product, otherwise we're out of a job. So we always try to improve it. So it's actually, I think, a very good tool to support the student learning, and the early results are quite encouraging. And whether it's a success or not will depend on the point of view of the final users rather than the design.
Thank you, sir. All right. Still talking about the design side, because as we say, it's a dynamic collaboration between a subject matter expert and instructional design team, which we have in the Applied and Experiential Learning. So now, I would like to get the point of view from my colleague, Ms. Kalpana Prasad from the AEL department. If you could please sort of elaborate on the instructional design process AEL follows to create such dynamic, interactive, and engaging blended learning environments.
Thanks, Alain, and good morning, everyone. So the goal of AEL is not just to create dynamic, interactive, blended learning experiences, but we also want to be more reflective of real-life applications. Right? Our process is elaborate, but we want to make sure that we cover all grounds, because no two courses are the same and there is no one-size-fits-all solution. So we start off with the needs analysis. We try to see what the course goals are, what the learning outcomes are, and we also try to learn and understand more about our learners and students from our faculty and instructors. And then we move on to the planning phase. So the planning phase is where we deeply collaborate with our subject matter experts. We fix on timelines, we see what the course structure needs to be, how much of it is going to be online versus offline, and then lay all that in detail in our course design document. So this course design document is basically going to be our go-to reference guide throughout our design and development process. So the design and development process is where AEL does most of the heavy lifting. We decide what tools and methods and resources to use. We determine which one suits our course needs better. We assess all the facilities and resources that are available to us. When I say resources, it also includes all the facilities we have around campus. Our DCMP production lab, for example, we create a lot of educational videos there. And I want to thank Dr. Milan for being generous and then sharing his expensive resources with us as well. And then we also analyze the course content and see if it requires further breaking down, like what Sweta had mentioned earlier. If it requires further breaking down to kind of fit a more micro-learning framework, we do that. So once we have all that down and once we have a finished product, a prototype, we then send it out for rounds and rounds of internal review. Our reviewers can be faculty members, instructors, students. We gather all their feedback and we try to see what adjustments need to be done. And once we have a polished product is when we send it out or we roll it out. But our role does not end with the rollout also. So we still provide ongoing support as the course is being delivered. We are in constant touch with our SMEs, our instructors, to see if they need any further support as the course is being delivered. We assess how students are engaging with the courses online through our LMS dashboard. And then, we make decisions from there. In adjust the others.
Thank you, Ms. Kalpana. Could you just add, what are some of the challenges you face from the design side, working with the subject matter experts and throughout the process of building a blended learning course?
One challenge that does come to mind are all these, last-minute content changes, which is understandable, and most times they are unavoidable. But we've had it happen to us enough times that we've learned to build in that flexibility right from the planning stages. So we try to identify what parts of the content are subject to change later on. So we try to have a contingency plan for that, decided earlier. For example, if a particular portion is, could change later on, we might try to fit it in the more classroom offering of the blended course. Or we might, treat it as an additional resource. So that later on, if there are changes that come to it, we don't have to alter the design of the overall learning object as much. And then the change can be quick and seamless.
Thank you, Ms. Kalpana. I think these are all really good, valuable lessons learned to sort of, illustrate and share the experiences from the panel on what's involved in designing such a blended learning course. All right, now moving on to a favorite topic, engagement. We saw it with the champions, student engagement, motivation. It's something that affects everyone in the training, learning, education industry. So I will now ask my wonderful students again, starting with Mr. Khalil Zakout, to talk about how did you participate in the blended learning activities, online, in person, or both, and did you have a preference?
I actually participated in both. The online section is usually in reading articles, watching videos, or listening to podcasts, as well as in participation with the students. We usually submit a thread or a voice note, and we give each other feedback, which is something fun to do, and it's new for me. And the in-person class is the usual one, to work on group activities, to give a presentation. And actually, I prefer the online section, and this goes to my major, software engineering. I used to search online on topics and dig deeper into it, sometimes even outside the scope of what is required. So that's why I prefer the online section. But yeah, in general, I participated in both.
Good. And over to you, Mr. Mohammed Al-Marwani.
I also participated in both. We had 2 lectures in person and 1 online lecture. And I liked my in-person lecture more, since it's a very heavy topic, as I mentioned before. So I needed to ask more and more questions, since online it was really good to take short and review notes for the exams. But as a whole content itself, it was good, but not on par with the lectures itself.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mohammed. And, I'll take it that you had a wonderful instructor to supplement the face-to-face lectures with Ms. Youmna Moussa, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. And that's I'll keep repeating this, it's blended, it's the best of both worlds, combining the best of the face-to-face with the best of online to create a holistic, engaging learning experience. All right, back to my faculty, Ms. Youmna Moussa. Still talking about engagement. So what strategies did you find most engaging students through the blended learning environment?
Linking the online content directly to the in-class discussions and the assessments was key. Once students realized that the content of the modules were tied to the graded quizzes, they paid more attention. Unfortunately, our students study more for assessments. And from the beginning, I intentionally assigned easier or more straightforward lessons to the online component, while reserving the more complex and abstract topics like proofs to the in-person lectures. This helped me ensure that students get direct support when they mostly need it. And from the beginning, I made it clear with them that whatever is assigned for the online component will not be repeated during our in-person lectures. I opened the floor for questions at the beginning of each class. I made a quick review at the beginning. I reinforced key ideas within new examples in my lectures, but I made it clear for them that they cannot rely on the in-person lectures solely. Also, when you look at the number of hours spent by each student on the Coursera platform, you can notice a clear pattern. Those who regularly watch the videos and practice material from Coursera are the same ones who regularly attended my in-person lectures. And those are the ones who achieved actually good grades. So engagement in both formats, or both in self-paced and face-to-face format was key to student success.
Thank you very much, Ms. Youmna. And over to you, Sweta. What differences, if any, did you notice in your students' engagement between the online elements and the face-to-face elements?
That's a great question. I'm actually really glad that Khalil was asked the question first, and he brought up the various ways in which we did the online interaction, because we tried to keep it as fun and different as possible. So we did have voice notes, we did mind maps, we did discussion posts, as you mentioned, so that was online. The stark difference that I found in this course with the in-person interaction was, as the weeks went on, students realized that classroom time was for hands-on activity, and that it was not going to be a lecture where they could sit back and scroll on Instagram. So when they walked in, they knew that they were going to be pulled up to do something, and I found that they were a lot more proactive because of that. Understanding that whatever theory needed to be shared was already done online, with them more focused in class. And yes, as usual, at the beginning, they were a little worried about being in groups, but as time went on, even the group activities that were discussed by various people today, problem-based learning, group activities, team-based learning, all of those things were a lot easier because classroom time was for skill-based activities. But I also want to mention, like Mr. John Bicknell spoke about before, the analytics at the back of it was so important for us, and we worked together, both Alain and Kalpana, we worked together to see how much data D12 can give us, and that gave us the opportunity to have timely interventions as well. Just like Ms. Youmna said, we're able to see that there is a direct correlation between the interaction online as well as how well they do in class. So the fact that we have good analytics at the back, we're able to do early and timely intervention based on it. So all of these things make both the online as well as the in-person interactions more fruitful.
Thank you, Ms. Sweta and Ms. Youmna. Those are really great points to once again reiterate. You know, once you launch a blended learning course, it's not on autopilot. You kind of like have to make sure you're following the map to sort of see through the analytics that we gather online for our learning management system, but also like visually and qualitatively what you guys see, you know, in the classroom. So thank you. Moving on now, actually transitioning to the data and the support, going back to Dr. Abdullatif Shikfa. You know, you've taught this course, I think, from the start, like three years ago, and you now, you know, passed the torch on, so to speak, to Ms. Youmna Moussa and to AAL, but you're still part, like the founder of this course for us. So you know all the challenges the students have faced in achieving the learning outcomes. And basically from the discussions we've shared and the progress of this blended learning pilot project, how does it feel to see an improvement in the students achieving the learning outcomes through blended learning?
Actually, it feels great because this course is a well-established course, again, since 2021, since the day we started the new programs. at university we have this course, and it's, I think, the second most loved course in our college, just after the infamous INFS 001. The reason is this course is a mathematics course and new mathematics in a way they haven't seen before in high school. So it's challenging, and the students are complaining about this, about their success rate, and I'm telling them, yes, it is challenging, and that's why I'm here. I'm here to support you, to raise your level, to be able to pass this course. I'm not going to compromise on the level of difficulty of this course. And so we have challenges with large sections when we are delivering this course in theaters for more than 100 students. And we came up with several solutions, and now blended learning is the latest addition to our tools. And I'm very happy to see that the early results are promising with an increase in their success.
Thank you, sir. And just one follow-up. What else would you like to see further improved on this blended learning course?
So far we have mostly focused on the lectures by creating this content, and in particular these short videos, which are very useful for students because it's challenging to get them to focus for even 10 minutes. They are used to these reels and TikTok and whatever. So all our videos are just 2-3 minutes, really bite-sized, and that allows them to go back and focus on the one point they missed during the lecture or that they want to repeat several times. So that's very good. The other aspect that is still a bit missing, I feel, is we need to also deliver some content related to the practice, to the exercise. We are doing all of this in labs currently. We could add some practice at the level of the test and make this content also available online.
All right. Thank you, sir. Over to my good colleague again, Ms. Kalpana Prasad. So just to talk a bit more about the support mechanisms. So when delivering a blended learning course, what support mechanisms do faculty have available to ensure they deliver a successful one?
We want our faculty to feel supported throughout the way, right? So we have in place a comprehensive support ecosystem, which includes pre-delivery preparations and also ongoing support, as I said. Once the course has been rolled out, we do give them ongoing support through the ways of, regular weekly touch points, and then tracking student interactions through the LMS dashboard, and identifying pain points for students and things like that. So to lay them out, we do have instructional design support. We have a team of expert instructional designers who come with good experience, and they're very good at what they do, so they can support faculty in that aspect. In terms of digital media support as well, we have expertise in creating high-quality instructional videos, animations, and assets. Our LMS gurus are here to help you with anything related to D2L. And like I said, once the course has been rolled out, we constantly get in touch with our instructors, and then we monitor how our students are performing through the LMS. And we even send out midpoint and endpoint evaluation surveys to the students and hear directly from them how effective they feel the new blended format is. And we make informed decisions from both these qualitative and quantitative data sets.
Thank you very much, Ms. Kalpana. So basically, you're not out there on your own. You have the support from AEO. All right, reaching the final round questions. So I'll first start with the faculty, and actually we'll just go down the line of the chairs. So faculty members, what advice would you share with your respective faculty members here when it comes to delivering their first blended learning course? Dr. Shikfa?
Advice, so I'll just say, go for it. If you feel that it can really help and support the students, don't hesitate. Don't be afraid that it might be very time-consuming to develop, because with the support of the AL team, it's really not as time-consuming as I expected at the beginning. Also, it can really support your delivery. It's not going to replace you, that's very important. It doesn't replace the instructor at all. It just alleviates you from some basic tasks, let's say, and allows you to focus on the more difficult tasks, the more difficult concept to cover with the students. So it's really a great tool, and I would just encourage my colleagues to go for it.
Thank you. Ms. Sweta Bharadwaj, same question.
Thanks. I think that follow up on what Dr. Shikfa said. I think sometimes technology can feel a little daunting, but don't let that hold you back. If you feel hybrid works for you, for your course, you should take it up. But also another misconception that I'd like to sort of put aside, and that is this: taking up a hybrid course is definitely not less work than you have right now. It's not a lot more, it's just different kind of work. So I know that sometimes as faculty we're like, we don't want to try out something like this because it seems like I'm doing fewer hours or not, but it is different kind of work. Still very fulfilling. So, thanks.
Thank you. My good colleague, Ms. Kalpana Prasad, what advice do you have to share?
I'd say that the success of the course really depends on how good the working relationship is between us and the SMEs. Right? We have to be open to each other's ideas and insights. Instead of us being just tech support, I'd like to think that we're more co-designers and co-creators in this journey. So be open to our ideas, and we want to be able to help you reimagine the content for a more digital delivery. We respect and value our SMEs' insights as well, because they are the ones delivering the course and they know the learners better. So, it is, like I said, more of a 50-50 partnership, and to be able to be more open in embracing this new format.
Thank you, Ms. Kalpana. Now over to you, Ms. Youmna Moussa. What advice do you have to share?
Yeah, students need time to adjust or adapt to the blended format. It's a new experience for them, so be prepared from the beginning to offer extra support to your students, whether through reminders, encouragements, and sometimes reteaching key topics. I did not hesitate to reteach certain lessons when I saw my students struggling. I actually had to reteach only 2 lessons out of the 12 assigned lessons, which is a good number. Also, do not rely solely on the platform you are using. Always check where your students are struggling and be ready to prepare your own material to further support your students. Finally, check in regularly, be flexible with your students, and be always ready to adjust based on your students' needs. Thank you.
Thank you, faculty. Now, the final questions for our wonderful students who have shared their experiences today. So starting with Mr. Mohammed Al-Marwani, if you could change one thing about your blended learning experience, what would it be?
I would change the difficulty of the questions inside of the modules to be on par with the labs, since that's what we're tested on, not on the lectures. Since the lectures only cover the basics, and then you get your knowledge through the labs by doing extra practice.
So harder questions, I think we can manage that.
Yeah.
Already started.
During the term, we were adding extra practice questions where the level compensates with the level of the labs.
Yeah. And I would recommend also one more thing, is that more mathematical courses and computational courses implement Coursera. For example, linear algebra, calculus, physics, and like many more.
Thank you. So more blended learning courses. And Mr. Khalil Zakout, if you could change one thing about your blended learning experience, what would it be?
For me, everything is almost perfect. If I have to choose one thing, I would switch the timing to make it 2 hours online and one class.
I'll talk to you after.
Yeah. No, this doesn't mean by any means that the in-person classes are boring or something. But as I said, I just prefer the online section because I'm used to study on my own, to study without a direct interaction with my instructor. But again, I'm having an amazing instructor like this, but I didn't mean anything.
The grades are out next week. I'm just kidding. Khalil, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All kidding aside, thank you very much, Mr. Khalil Zakout. And the amount of time you spend learning online versus in person is there's no magic number. It depends on the course requirements. I know when we designed and developed the EFFL course and the Discrete Structures course, we had multiple debates of what's the right number, and so it's a moving target, and it's making it fit to the needs of the learning.
Alain, if I may, just one last thing. I mean, even though I'm sitting here, I want to just shout out because this was a team effort. So my shout out to Dr. Rosie, Dr. Chris, and all the people in the Communications and Humanities Department. This is for all of you. So thank you very much.
All right, well, this brings a close to this enlightening discussion we had. I want to thank, from the bottom of my heart, to our panelists who are here today to share their experiences, their insights, and ideas of what they experienced from this blended learning experience here. You've really showcased the power that blended learning can have at UDST and how it enhanced the teaching, the learning, and the engagement in these courses. And integrating in-person and online learning activities needs to be done strategically and collaboratively, and it can have a huge impact on supporting the learning of our students here. And I think there's one key takeaway, and I say this all the time, like people who know me here, like this is what I basically, if you want this to be a success for the students to actually embrace the online learning, the blended learning model, you faculty members have to be an advocate for it. You have to believe in it yourself. You can't just build the content, like I said, put it up on the LMS and expect the students to magically take it. You got to use the communication tools available on the D12 LMS, on email, all the different types of communication methods. Send them reminders, like we said, to hey, make sure you complete the online learning materials, and then it will come. Basically, we cannot deliver it without your support. Now, the good news is that we have more blended learning courses coming your way. And we'll be also offering professional development sessions on blended learning to sort of discuss with you, sort of give you ideas for blended learning strategies and how you can start implementing them into your courses. So thank you once again for being part of this conversation, and we look forward to the impact blended learning will have in the UDST community here. And thanks again to our panelists, our students, and our faculty members and the AL team for sharing their insights. Thank you very much. Okay, we will now open the floor for questions. So same protocol, QR code, or the mic stands. We have a gentleman over here. We have him here.
Good morning, everybody. My question for Mrs. Kalpana: is it possible to watch the video that was made in PowerPoint on staff? Because most of our community did not watch it.
Oh, the simulation we created for the boiler, it is live up on the power plant on D12 on the course page. I'm not sure if we're able to bring it up right now, but it is live for anyone who is interested to go see. It's on Power Plant Components 2202, I believe the course name is. So anyone who has access to the course can go view it there.
Thank you.
Question over there.
Yes, Dr. Ibrahim, College of General Education. Thank you very much for this interesting presentation. I appreciate it. It is obvious that there is so much formative assessment in this type of course. This will definitely improve the performance of the student in summative assessment compared to a traditional course. So I would like the panel to comment on the method of assessment for the students. Please, how do you find assessment in this blended course compared to a traditional course? Thank you very much.
So for me, Dr. Mohammed, I'm also taking a course with you, biology currently, inquiry-based biology. And how I recommend implementing it into biology. I recommend by our weekly quizzes and the lectures, you can put them on Coursera. For example, instead of hosting them pool. Yeah, no problem. It depends on the content you upload to Coursera. Since the more questions you upload, it will be generated for each person. I think so. And I recommend that you also implement it in your course, since it's also a heavy course, since there's a lot of information, where you can upload videos of yourself explaining the key points in each lectures also.
Maybe for the course, blended learning has not changed really the assessment methodology. The blended is mostly to get knowledge and get some simple quizzes, but we still have our traditional assessments, which include weekly quizzes with pools of like hundreds of questions, short quizzes, in addition to major tests in class. Everything is in class to ensure integrity of the assessments. The formative assessment is the online component, and the summative one is what we test in class.
Any other questions from the audience? Dr. Rashid.
Thank you. I think this is a very interesting session, and the outcome of the blended learning pilot courses. In order to make them more effective and maybe more constructive type of comments and so on, I would suggest, if not yet done, that the resources that have been developed for the blended learning pilot courses to be open and accessible by all faculty at UDST, instead only for those who are interested in that course and the faculty. So this way we want to see and feedback from all of our faculty about how they perceive this type of learning, and also they may relate on how they can apply this for their courses. I think that would be a very constructive to get the feedback from all faculty. Thanks.
Thank you very much, sir. I believe, just to further that, I think we're updating our SharePoint site to sort of reflect a lot of these use cases and examples of blended learning and these online learning experiences, like to showcase the boiler plant room that we built with the College of Engineering and Technology. So absolutely, the idea is to share it, to sort of give you ideas on how you can basically integrate some of these and adapt them to your courses. One question, yes?
I was wondering if the panel could share some strategies to ensure that students complete the online activities as intended, instead of just skipping to assessment-related activities. If you have any ideas, faculty and students.
So there are ways you can implement certain restrictions while you are developing these online modules, right? So you can put in restrictions saying the student cannot mark this object as complete on D12 unless they go through all the lessons that have been decided into the online learning object. At the end of every learning object, we do place some practice assessments and summaries. So we can also set in conditions wherein the students have to necessarily pass the practice quiz before they can move on to the next resource on D12 and mark that object as complete. So that is one way we can ensure that students are going through the online content and not just that, paying attention to all the content that's been presented there, because that is the assessment piece at the end.
Sorry, was that was through D12?
The assessment that I'm referring to, the practice one, can be made through, can be integrated within the learning object itself. We use articulate rise in certain cases to build these learning objects. So on Coursera, even we can plug in your practice assessments there and have your actual graded assessments on D12.
I'm just going to add to what Kalpana says. So when we have that in the module itself, where you do a certain amount and you can't go to the next step unless you've completed that and done, there are short quizzes in the middle and a practice quiz or a summary quiz at the end. But I would supplement that with a knowledge check in class and make that one that's just regular. Every time you come into class, you have to do one quick ungraded knowledge check to make sure that they're doing it. And initially, at least from what we saw in EFFL 1003, initially they didn't do it, but they knew that they had to come in and then do a quick survey or do a quick quiz. So it motivated them to start. exploring it a little bit more. It's a learning process, but having both of those together, I think, would be beneficial for our students.
And sorry, I was going to ask the students too. Sorry, after Ms. Youmna.
Okay, for me, I believe this goes back to dedication, because no matter what the instructors do, students will find a way to manipulate the system. So I believe it goes back to dedication, because I'm here to learn here.
Yes, we got a question in the
Excuse me.
right side.
Here.
Over there.
Yeah. Regarding the effectiveness of blended courses. So, if I understand correctly, most of the analysis done are correlational. So, as we know, correlation does not indicate causation. So, in order to effectively measure, let's say, how efficient these blended courses are, do you plan to conduct some maybe experimental analysis, experimental research, and compare blended courses with the regular ones?
I'll answer this one since I did the evaluation.
That's for you.
Yeah, thank you. No, thank you very much for your question. So, the reason I only say it's a correlation is because, like, for example, in the Discrete in both courses, I didn't have a control group to compare them against. Right? So, and because all the students in the Discrete Structures course were enrolled into this pilot program, and with the EFFL 1003, which was the only delivery done, because for this program we had nothing to compare against. But we did, throughout the entire journey of these courses, we looked at the midterm grades, we looked at the quiz grades, we looked at the evaluation of the students. I think the students were sick of my survey requests to get their feedback and so forth, but also, so all this kind of factors in, but you've also got to look at it like Discrete Structures. It's got a lecture component, it's got a lab component, and then we're adding like an online learning component now. So absolutely. So to actually say that there is a causation from it, like any statistician will tell you, you can't do that because you didn't have the control group. But we did see a clear increase in student success on the summative assessments throughout it, which showed a correlation with the more time that we're spending learning online. No further questions? I think, yeah, the gentleman over there.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm Alain from CCIT. So I have a question to follow up on my colleague question with the previous one about restrictions to make sure that the students fulfill all the necessary content in the online component. So I was thinking maybe, is it a good idea to have supervised online components? For instance, having the students go to the help centers and then have some TAs supervise them going through that online content to make sure that they completed the content. So then when the in-class component has to be delivered, so then most of the students has completed the online part. Is this something interesting to consider or relevant?
I'll tackle this one. So you're like trying to schedule the flexible online learning side of things, which kind of defeats the purpose of the original intent of online learning, And then at the end of the day, the people that you guys teach, they're young adults, they're sort of transitioning. You want them to sort of, you don't want to hold their hand all the way. You sort of need to trust them and give them the responsibility. And with a model like this, at first I say, I'll take this course because I get an extra hour of sleep, but I don't have to come to the lecture. But no, you still have to do the work because it's all tied to the learning outcomes of the course. And if you start to enable such mechanisms as you sort of discuss, what's the outcome? You just want to make sure that they completed it. The learning management systems already tells us that. And if you're proactive and you're an advocate of blended learning, the students will naturally, take responsibility of their own learning. It's all part of self-directed learning and so forth. So, and that's the thing at the beginning, you don't expect, it's finding the right balance. Don't expect the students to automatically do it, but send them reminders, sort of tell them in class, online, through the different communication tools, tie an assessment piece to it. That will force them, I guarantee you, to complete the online learning side of things.
One quick comment also. Even if they are in front of us, this is no guarantee that they are really with us. And we have them in the theater in this hour. Maybe part of them, I would say half of them, are not really following, right? So by giving them the flexibility to do it whenever they feel comfortable, we are motivating them to be responsible learners and to take responsibility for their educational journey. In addition, we have in the videos, for example, breakpoints within the video where they have a very simple question to answer, and this just check that they didn't just leave the video and moved on. And because also they are very short videos, they cannot just start the video 1 hour, they come back at the end and say, I finished. So these all are small strategies to motivate them to really watch all the content. In addition, we are thinking of some gamification aspects that we can do because it's on an online platform, like streak of number of days they are continuously accessing the platform, and some leaderboard and things like that.
Thank you, Dr. Shikfa. Well, there's Dr. Milan has one final question. Okay, last one.
I just have a, thank you for the panel. I just have a quick question, and students are also invited to answer this one. Several panelists mentioned reminders. So how many reminders are good and kind of useful before it becomes a spoon feeding? Because at some point we need to teach our students that they have to be responsible. You have to think of your own assessments or timings. So any comments on that?
Yeah, in the first 2 weeks, I had to send reminders every day because usually students don't register in the course in the first week. Some of them register in the second week. So while Alain was sending them emails so they can use the link in the email to register and enroll in the course, I had to send these reminders on D2L to make sure that they are really registering for the course, because most of them miss the first part or the first 2 or 3 lectures. But with time, like within 2 or 3 weeks, students get used to the new blended format, and with time they don't need any reminders. We just send one reminder when to inform them which day is the self-directed online lecture, and that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Youmna, and thank you, Dr. Milan. I'm sorry we have to stop the questions now. I've been told multiple times to stop. So thank you for your attention. Thank you to our wonderful panelists and for sharing their experiences on blended learning. If you have any more questions, catch us during the break or anytime, just drop by AAL. Thank you.